Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew or Stalli111 and welcome back to episode 2 of Stalli's Teabreak. Today we're going to be talking about Skyrim and its Creation Club expansion. Today I have a new special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm George from Zero Peer Productions on YouTube. I make YouTube videos, I stream on Twitch, so just kind of the whole, I would almost say it's just very common nowadays for YouTubers, so I'm just another one, I guess.
Right. So today we're going to be talking about whether Skyrim's Creation Club, which is in beta now, is actually any good. Well, I guess we'll talk about Creation Club in general, but we both have now experienced the newly released, or I guess beta release, of Creation Club's Skyrim Survival Mode. So we're going to be talking about whether that's, worth your money. It's going to be 800 credits, which I believe is like £6 or how many dollars?
Well, that's where one of my issues with it is, because it's 800 credits, and on Steam you can buy $8 worth of credits, but that's 750 credits. So if you want to buy the 800 credit item, you have to pay for 1500 credits, which is $15. So they made it out. Yeah. They made it out to be that 100 credits would be approximately $1. However, like I said, you have to buy the more expensive pack in order to get those 50 extra credits that you need, which is just kind of ridiculous, and it's absolutely a thing of, they know what they're doing with that. That is not unintentional. Definitely. That's absolutely intentional, and that's one of just my issues with Creation Club as a whole, is just a lot of the pricing structure and everything.
I mean, even on the Fallout 4 one, it's got things that are purely aesthetic for 100, 200, 500. It doesn't really add up for what you get content-wise.
The pricing model is all over the place, and because correct me if I'm wrong, but with Fallout 4 and just all of the DLCs and everything that they released, so I believe Automatron was what, $10 standalone? I can't remember. Say it was. It was either 5 or the season
10. Pass.
Oh, same here. That's why I'm not entirely sure, but I mean, I can just check on Steam right now.
Yeah, it would be. It's £8 for me, so it'd probably be about $10.
That's what I'm guessing.
Wasteland Workshop is £4. Nuka World was $15. More workshop stuff, £4 each. Far Harbour, £20 waste of money. Sorry. And the whole season pass was £40. But it jumped up to £40 from £30, I believe. Or is it 35? I can't remember. Because they were going to add Nuka World.
Right.
Add so much more content. But Nuka World was probably the best out of the season pass. But still, it's not worth £40.
No, exactly.
To me, at least.
It was not. I would agree with you. But
it's not worth it.
Yeah, but now I have it up in front of me now, and yeah. So Automatron was $10, Wasteland Workshop's $5. So even just comparing what you get with Creation Club to Wasteland Workshop. I know a lot of people had issues with Wasteland Workshop because they didn't want more built-in stuff necessarily. Everyone was expecting story DLCs, the way that we got for Fallout 3, the way we got for Fallout New Vegas, the way we've gotten for the Elder Scrolls games in the past. We weren't buying a season pass to be able to build contraptions and everything in Fallout 4. Most people I know got really tired of all the building and settlements very quickly. A lot of people I know got really pissed off in Fallout 4 when they got to a point in the story where they said, okay, now build this giant teleporter, and it's going to be really annoying, really complex, and it's just something you don't want to do, even though during E3 we said that building was optional.
There was also in Far Harbour a whole section that I'd probably... Yeah, it was like, I did a review on Far Harbour and I described it as a clunky, terrible Minecraft-esque builder.
I was so done with that. I was really tired of it.
It was like 30-40 minutes of gameplay, or quote-unquote gameplay.
It was 30-40 minutes if you figured it out immediately. If it took you a while to figure out, you would be there for hours.
If it was just I think there was 7 or 8 levels of it or something like that. But if it was just one or two, I would maybe give it more slack. It's an optional thing, and maybe have this little quote-unquote mini-game. It really wasn't mini, but as other things where you can unlock things when you special hacks or something that's exclusive to Far Harbor, but it wasn't. It was just this one big block of crap.
It was required for you to continue the story at all.
And I can imagine a lot of people not completing it because they either got stuck on it or they just didn't want to do it.
They said, this is too much.
Boring.
This takes too much time. Like, why am I bothering this?
Yeah, it was. It just wasn't fun. I mean, a lot of it wasn't the most enjoyable game, like that Far Harbor at least. And for my review, I had to push myself through it at times. But that was definitely a struggle. Wasn't happy with that at all.
No, not at all. It took way too long, and it was just not really. It wasn't interesting at all. Was the problem? Or at least past the first 10 minutes. The first 10 minutes, you're like, okay, this is interesting, and past that, you're just thinking, okay, I want this to end. I cannot get past this.
It's something new, but it loses its charm very quickly.
Absolutely. But bringing it back to what we were saying, just like, so Wasteland Workshop, one of the DLCs that a lot of people didn't really want in the first place, $5. And then you compare that to just what Fallout 4's Creation Club has to offer. We have, most recently, the classic Doom armor and the Doom BFG, each of which are standalone pieces of content, 400 credits each, approximately $4. So you're telling me that Wasteland Workshop is $1 more than one set of armor or one gun. If you want both of those, it's going to cost you $8. It's going to cost the same amount as the Skyrim Survival Mode when it comes out. So am I being ripped off on buying one armor and one gun for $8, or am I getting a bargain because, wow, look, I can get this whole new game mode for the price of one gun and one armor? It's just, it makes no sense. It's like no thought went into it.
It's $8 or $9, or I think it's £6 for no, it's not, because it's more. It's 800 points rather than 750, but it's £8.50, say, for the actual worth of it, the 800 credits. And then you look at the DLC, the actual DLC, Automatron was £8. So then we go into the thought of, what the hell's this Skyrim survival thing? What am I getting out of this?
Yeah.
Like, £8. Automatron was a whole new. Sure, it wasn't the biggest. It was quite. Well, it was the smallest of the Fallout 4 stuff, and wasn't the most in depth out of the whole Fallout expansions, as the expansions go. But it was more story, more assets, more guns, more armor, more things to get. Rather
it added
than
the entire like robot workshop, which
was
a lot of fun because you could actually customize robots for once and have your own set of companions that you could make yourself.
Like fully customizable. And that was the same price as what? Some very like changing a few zeros and ones to make it that you've got a fireplace here, there, and everywhere, and extra areas where you get a little notice saying you are cold, or you are warm, or you are hungry.
Exactly. And just the idea of Automatron being $10, it just kind of reminded me that I remember, when Fallout 3 was new, or when Fallout New Vegas was new, all of those DLCs were $10. Any one of those DLCs, which a lot of which were pretty much expansions. It used to be that
more
a
than
story
Automatron.
DLC was worth $10, and I don't know if it's just because of inflation or what, but now what was a $10 DLC is you pay $20 or something for it, because
how
Nuka
much was
World
Far Harbor
or
for you guys?
Far Harbor. Oh,
it was £20 for us.
It was $25.
Right. $25.
So to them,
that's like
Far Harbor
the season pass would have been for Fallout New Vegas, probably.
Yeah. So to them, Far Harbor is worth 2.5 times any of the Fallout 3 DLCs or the Fallout New Vegas DLCs, which to me, I don't think so. I think price-wise, it's around the same value as those DLCs would have been. It should not be that much more. It's $25. The game, Fallout 4, when it came out, was $60. I would not say that Far Harbor is worth almost half of the game.
Yeah.
Not in the slightest. Same goes for Nuka World. It's not worth a third of the game's retail price.
I mean, there is also the fact that I was going to make the point of Fallout 4 wasn't worth $60. Sure, it was a lot of content, but it wasn't good content. It was a lot of crap with a little bit here, there, and everywhere that was decent. and I'm pretty sure Fallout New Vegas was £35 on launch, and it was £50 for Fallout 4 here. So, you know, what's that? Five years inflation? No, that's not how it works.
Yeah,
it's not quite that much.
Yeah. Games here have been $60 at launch for, I think, since the start of the Xbox 360 PS3 generation, just about. And for the most part, I'm fine with it because it hasn't really gone up since then. And
We've had it up
a
and
AAA
down.
game is always going to be $60, and
Yeah.
ultimately, I guess it's up to the consumer to decide, like, okay, was this $60 worth $60? Was it not? And honestly, that's going to be the same thing with Creation Club. Is just people are going to have to decide for themselves if they think it's worth it or not. Personally, I think a lot of it's just kind of exploitative and really overpriced. But I guess
definitely.
we'll kind of have to see what everyone thinks. But the general reception for Fallout 4's Creation Club was that it was really overpriced, really unnecessary. If you go on Steam, the recent reviews are overwhelmingly negative, which has brought the all reviews down to only 68% positive, which at launch the game had a much better rating than that. A lot of people had issues with Fallout 4, but Fallout 4 wasn't a bad game, it was just not a great Fallout game was the issue. Like, if Fallout 4 came out and was the first game in a new property, the first game in a new series, I don't think people would have had an issue with it. It was just that we were expecting something much more because of Fallout 3, because of Fallout New Vegas, which even though Bethesda didn't make it, it still fit into that series, and because of what we got from the Elder Scrolls games as well, because that was Bethesda. So a lot of it's just kind of what's going on here, that the things that we would expect and the things that we are used to from Bethesda have kind of just gone out the window and have changed entirely.
So what was your experience in Skyrim's survival mode? How would you differ it from the mods? Because there's a lot of mods that add survivability and little like things here, there, and everywhere, that they add little things to make it a little bit more immersive. But what was your experience in Bethesda Game Studios' version of this survival mode?
I want to compare it to both the mods and to Fallout 4's survival mode, because that was a free update. So the fact that this, which just seems, it's literally just the Skyrim version of the Fallout 4 survival mode. It's unfortunate that this is going to cost $8, whereas we got the Fallout 4 one for free. I'm not saying that Bethesda is required or even obligated to make survival mode free. It's just ironic that, you know, we got the survival mode for Fallout 4 for free within a year of Fallout 4 coming out, and now we have Skyrim, which is almost 6 years old, which already got a re-release that wasn't necessary on the PC to begin with.
Definitely not, no. Like, I don't see... I feel like it was a downgrade from a lot of ENBs. Like,
I've yet to get an EMB that I like on Special Edition versus my graphical setup on
I've barely
Skyrim
touched
regular
mods on Special Edition because I've had a bad problem with Special Edition. I went into it and I got some crashes and some bugs that I felt were sorted with either proper official patches or unofficial patches, you know, on the Nexus. But Special Edition, I've not really had that. You know, it's been very buggy for me.
Yeah, I've had bugs come up in Special Edition that I never had in the regular version of Skyrim, so it's just kind of funny to see that there's newer issues now, even after all these years. And what I liked about the idea of Special Edition was the fact that it was going to be a 64-bit version of the game as opposed to the original version of Skyrim. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think that means, oh, let's sell this for $60 again.
Definitely not. Like, the fact that Fallout and Doom VR editions are going to cost you full price, or not quite full price, but nearly full price for what they are, is a little bit ridiculous. Like, I'm just going to check. Fallout VR is...
It's going to be $60, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be full price. Like,
well, because a lot of people originally thought, okay, it's probably going to be a DLC or an add-on for Fallout 4, but no. So it's going to be a standalone game. You have to pay $60 for it, and it means that I'm going to guess that it means that you're progress really isn't going to transfer over. You can't take your
no.
Fallout 4
probably
save and
it'll
then
be a
play it
separate
in
game
Fallout 4
altogether.
VR, so you're kind of starting off from scratch, as opposed to a lot of other games where they incorporate VR like built into the game.
Definitely, yeah. It's annoying. Like I would have accepted it if they had it as a DLC for like £10 or $15-16. You know, still I wouldn't pay it. It wouldn't be that worth to me. Like I wouldn't think that's valuable to me. I don't play VR. Don't have a VR headset, but even still, it's not gonna. From the videos that I saw from the stuff at E3, it looked like it was just really janky and didn't feel immersive.
The guns looked all over the place. Aiming the guns looked ridiculous and not in a good way.
And you know what? It reminds me of the fact that Fallout 4 went super arcadey from Fallout New Vegas and 3. And it felt like it was like if I was playing it, I would be in a gun arcade where I'm just like standing, shooting, aiming at little like ducks flying across the screen or something like that.
Because I'm friends with Al Chessbreach on YouTube, and I was talking to him about the Fallout VR stuff, and he was saying, because he has a Vive, he has an Oculus Rift, he has both of them, and he's even said, it's just like, no, I don't think Fallout 4 VR is worth $60. I would like to play it, but I don't care enough to pay this money. I might get it just because it might be good for videos, but if it wasn't for videos, he would probably have no interest in getting it.
Ditto. But he'll probably get sent it from Bethesda, to be fair. I won't.
They've never sent him a game, so...
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't get a copy for this either.
Fair enough.
But no,
that's,
going back
surprising.
to the survival mode thing, just like I was saying, it's this... Once again, Bethesda not obligated to make this free, but it is annoying that, as it is, some people have had to pay for Skyrim twice now, for the original edition and possibly for special edition as well. Yes, there was the thing where if you owned Skyrim and all its DLCs, you could get special edition for free, but I'm still willing to bet that there are a decent amount of people who did wind up buying it twice, probably at full price too. Which means...
I've got a few friends that bought it, and I've been like, I was disheartening them. I was trying to say, it's not worth it. You could just get it on PC for what, like $5-6? Like with all the DLC, like there's a legendary edition for really fucking cheap during the summer, and it's not like it's a very difficult game to run unless you've got a lot of mods on it. So like, we'll pay $6 or $7 or pay $60 for the exact same thing. Just I don't know if it's really that much better visually. But yeah, back to the survival thing.
Not really. Yeah, but survival, it would have been nice if Bethesda had maybe supported Special Edition a bit more, because I really don't see any bug fixes for Special Edition ever. It's just, I think the update that added Creation Club is the first update for Skyrim Special Edition in a long time, if not pretty much since when it launched. So it is kind of disheartening almost to see, like, oh, they're finally supporting special edition, but just because they want to charge you more.
Yeah.
And
talking about bugs and bug fixes, I know it's just in beta, but playing the survival mode today, there was quite a janky feel to it. I know it's sorry, my throat's rather dry. I know it's part of the hunger mechanic that you're slower, you're fatigued, but I felt like I was clicking in to like swipe my sword, and it was like 5 seconds, or maybe not quite 5, but 3 seconds delayed, and it just felt really shitty, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Listen, within the first half hour of survival mode, I noticed a typo in one of the pop-up messages. I was like, really? You couldn't...
What was it?
I don't remember. It was something not even that noticeable, but I noticed because I was reading it out loud. I was like, okay, and they were talking about, like, oh, you're cold. When you're cold, how to the cold or something. And I'm just like, all right, great job. I have it in the video that I recorded. I can't remember specifically. I just remember I saw it and just kind of paused and said, so...
Good job, Bethesda.
you didn't even pick up on this.
That's basically them just taking the files from the Nexus and just putting it in. Like, it's that sort of level you'd expect from a modder who's not getting any money for it. But it's Bethesda.
I think that's one of my biggest complaints about survival mode. So I want to say that, like, survival mode, it's not like it's an original idea, because they did it in Fallout 4 for the free survival mode add-on. Mods have done it before. But one of the things that Bethesda said when they announced Creation Club was, oh yeah, Creation Club content is going to be original. It's not going to be taken from existing mods.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, survival mode, not exactly an original idea. It's not this groundbreaking thing of, like, no one's thought of survival mode before. Even Bethesda's done survival mode before with Fallout 4. But the survival mode that we're paying for Special Edition, for the Creation Club, it's almost a carbon copy of some of the other survival mode mods. Yeah. And I think one of my complaints is that because of the fact that Bethesda doesn't tell us who makes Creation Club content, there's no, oh, this is the author of this piece of content. It leaves you wondering, it's like, okay, so if Bethesda made the survival mode, that's almost more okay to me. If it was Bethesda who made the survival mode for Special Edition in-house, that's fine, because it is very similar to their Fallout 4 one, so it makes a lot of sense that it has these features, etc., etc. If it was a mod author, then it's more of a thing of, okay, so it's literally just a carbon copy of these other mods that have been out for years and years and years for Skyrim now. So it kind of violates that whole, this is going to be original stuff.
Well, you mentioned, not in today's little discussion, but over messages, you mentioned that it was very similar to
Chesko's. Yeah. Chesko's one of my favorite mod authors for Skyrim. I'm on his Patreon. I'm on Patreon for a few different mod authors because, like, ultimately what this all comes down to, the whole Creation Club debacle and everything, a lot of it is just in regards to mod authors want to be paid for their time, their effort, and their work. And that, I'm completely in support of. I think I would be a hypocrite if I didn't think that mod authors deserved a fair shake at making some money out of this, because they put in so much time, so much effort for all this stuff that we get for free. Some of the content you get from mods is better than, stuff in the base game. And I think the survival mods from Chesko are a clear indicator of that. So that's why, I think I've only donated to a couple mod authors ever, but I'm on Patreon for Chesko. I'm on Patreon for Chris Takahashi, who made the Interesting NPCs mod for Skyrim and the Tales from the Commonwealth mod for Fallout 4, both of which are incredible. The Interesting NPCs for Skyrim added hours upon hours to my game. It made actual NPCs and quests that you cared about, that had engaging stories, which is something that Skyrim lacked a lot of the time.
And I wish Fallout 4 had one of those.
But it became this thing of, okay, yeah, these mod authors should be getting paid, and unfortunately Bethesda even said that they don't really like the idea of mod authors having Patreons either. I don't know if they can really legally stop it without making this really drawn out issue, but it's unfortunate that they're trying to block any way for mod authors to make money aside from joining Creation Club.
It's going to be like a terrible PR stunt if they do it. Like, Creation Club and paid quotations paid mods have just been terrible PR, and Pete Hines hasn't handled it well, but that's not what we're going to be talking about today, or what we are talking about. Definitely they should be paid, especially like mod creators, especially for things that are gameplay overhauls. Like, I'd be a little bit more lax to, I wouldn't really put my neck out for someone who just made a skin armor or something like that, or just like something really simple like a single sword that's just a different color or something like that. But proper gameplay overhauls that change the experience and are creatively new, they are innovative or just unique in their own way, they have their own spin on it, or they're going to add to the experience of Skyrim, Fallout, whatever game. Those people deserve loads of praise and definitely paid for their work.
Exactly.
And I really hoped that instead of making Skyrim Special Edition, that Bethesda would reach out to their massive mod community and see where are these projects that would benefit from our millions and millions of dollars to make a Bethesda product, a la a remake of Morrowind or Oblivion in Skyrim's engine. More Oblivion or Skywind or whatever of these giant overhauls that are supposed to be recreations of old games will never really be perfect. They'll never be how they were envisioned. But Bethesda, with their big supply, or basically unlimited supply of resources, could reach out to this. I can't remember the name of the Skywind developers, but they could reach out to the Skywind developers and say, you know what, we're gonna bring you on in, we're gonna fund your project, and we're gonna release it as a $30 game. You know, it's a remake of Morrowind in Skyrim's engine.
Listen, I would even pay $60 for it because of
I would
how
be
much
one
has
of
to
those people,
be
but
redone.
Yeah, like there's 60,000 lines that were never in voice that they're doing.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's why they're not going to get it anytime soon. It's probably going to be done like 2020.
Exactly.
But
I think it's incredible to see what mod authors have accomplished because and if you haven't heard of it, have you ever heard of Enderall?
I have, but I've never played it. But I've heard very good things.
It's
better than Skyrim's any narrative in Skyrim.
Fantastic. I loved it. It felt it was essentially a new game. People call it a mod, and even the developers, they're not sure what to call it, but it's essentially a game. Yes, it uses Skyrim's engine. It uses some models, some assets, but it creates its own world. It's its own universe. It's its own self-contained story, or it's a story based on this universe that they've created because they have games prior to Enderall. But it was amazing. People were always saying like, "Oh, none of these big mods will ever get done." That is an example of a big mod that got done without any sort of real like sustainable funding. It was done just with their time, their effort, and their hard work, and that is really incredible to see.
I sort of hope that Bethesda realise that this Creation Club thing shouldn't be like. I don't think they should have the policy, even though they're technically breaking it with the survival already, that they're going to create 100% original content. They shouldn't do that. They should reach out to these mods that sure are getting a lot of traction, and maybe they
should get the rights to these mods. Exactly.
Yes, they should say, here's some funding to do your own projects. Could we use this on our Creation Club? Or tag up with those the mod developers and say, your name's going to be on it, we're going to give you some money, make it, and we'll release it on Creation Club. Make it good, make it like your full vision. Here's the money to do it, go ahead. We're making DLC, we're keeping Skyrim alive, we're paying you guys instead of paying even more money to create the content. You know, they'd probably pay a lot more to their own in-house developers where they could be working on, I don't know, Skyrim 2. Or whatever they're going to call Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah. But just going back to the whole thing of mod authors should be paid for their time, for their effort, for everything like that. And I don't know how true this is. This was something that I heard from one of my viewers who's very much in like the Elder Scrolls fandom and the Elder Scrolls community. They were saying that they had heard from some of the people in Creation Club that in terms of like payouts for what Bethesda's paid them for like individual Creation Club content that they've created, that they've been paid like a maximum of $100. And I was trying to think about how it is. I knew from the start that Creation Club was never going to be a full-time like pay. I knew from the start that it was never going to allow mod authors to make enough so that they could do just creations, for Creation Club. I knew that from the very start, and I think most people realize that as well. Bethesda was never going to be paying people full-time, like mod authors full-time, to create this stuff.
Well, you could maybe get away with it by making just a shit ton of like swords and stuff like that. That'd be a lot easier to make than story mods or like much more like gameplay changing mods.
Yeah, but the thing with that is, so I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume that it's $100 paid for something for the stuff that has come out for the Fallout 4 Creation Club. So it's like $100. Someone got paid $100 to make the Doom armor. Someone got paid $100 to make the Doom BFG. And if you break it down into just like I don't create mods. Like, I don't know how to 3D model. I don't know how to create textures, stuff like that. So I don't know exactly how many hours it takes. But I don't know. It sounds not unreasonable to pay someone $100 to make one weapon or one armor.
I get where you're coming from, but I do feel that because it's a big game like Bethesda's, well, it's Skyrim or Fallout 4, it's like Fallout 4 was, I think, the biggest game of 2015 sales-wise.
I think it's the biggest game in a while, or one of the biggest games in a while.
GTA is technically bigger on its own, but
no, that
just on 1 year. I think it was Fallout 4. But yeah, that it's not like it's an indie game that they're going to say, going to make this for us, here's like $50. It's arguably one of the biggest developers ever. Bethesda Game Studio. So they're not insecure. They've got a lot of money. Like the budget to the profit of Skyrim alone is incredible. I think the budget was 100 million and they profited about 3 billion or something like that. It was crazy. Or maybe not quite 3 billion, but like overall over time, but like it's definitely over like 2 billion. It is a lot of money. Even if it was just 1 billion, you know, they're still 900 million in their pocket.
But well, no, because I want to build off of what I was saying about just the fact that they're paying mod authors $100, just that's like a flat rate. Let's say it's a flat rate, because we don't know the details of Creation Club payments. All we know is that they're paid upon completion of what they're making, and that's it. They don't see any royalties, and that's where it becomes an issue, because it's the thing of, so they got paid $100.
They should get
but
royalties.
So here's the thing. Going back to the Doom armor or the Doom BFG, it's $4. If they sell that 25 times, either one of those 25 times, that is already the amount that they paid to the mod author. They're selling it way more than 25 times. As much as people complain, I'm sure thousands of people, if not tens of thousands of people, have bought each of the Creation Club items. There should be some royalties involved in addition to a down payment. Just because of the fact that, yes, obviously Bethesda has to make a... Yeah, exactly. It's the thing of, yes, obviously Bethesda has to make a profit. They're a company. That's what all this is about. However, it just seems kind of exploitative of the mod authors. And that was one of the concerns with the paid mods on Steam back when that flopped over the course of 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Because they were getting paid, I want to say 25%, or they were getting 25% of sales, and you couldn't cash out until you made $100 or something. You accumulated $100.
Yeah, like there's a few companies like Spreadshirts like that. You have to get a certain amount before you actually get your money from them, all your merch or whatever. Yeah. But
I mean, it's the same way with my YouTube network. It's that way with a lot of people, which makes sense. Yeah. But it was, in that situation, it was this thing of they had to sell thousands of dollars worth of the mod to get their like $100 or something, because it was really, really low.
It's also quite complicated with how they did it with Steam. They obviously cut out the middleman of Steam now. They've just done it through their own game. But it was like Steam took a 40% cut, and then off that 60, it was 25%. It wasn't 25% of the whole thing. It was 25% off Bethesda's cut.
Exactly, yeah. No, because I remember that it was really, really low, the amount. So even when I said 25%, I was like, it's not a full 25%. It's 25% of a smaller fraction. But then, like I said, so let's say a mod author, they're paid they're paid $100 for their Creation Club mod, and that's the end of it. And they say, well, if you want to make another $100, you can make us another mod. However, I'm looking at Patreon right now. I'm looking at the Patreon for Eleanor, the Patreon for Chesko, the Patreon for Inai Saean. All of them are making hundreds a month on Patreon. So they're still making this much from the free mods. They're making more from their free mods than any Creation Club member is going to make from their content. Because the problem is, it's not really a problem because of the fact that it should be curated, but Bethesda has to approve each and every item before it can even start
Hit the
development,
store.
which is that honestly that's the best way to do it. I'd be really annoyed if it was no, anyone who's in Creation Club can make whatever they want, because then people could just start spamming mods being like, I need that $100 for this one reskin or something. But it's,
I mean, that's what happened with the Steam paid mods. They just stole other people's mods and uploaded it.
yeah. But even looking at Eleonora's Patreon, it's the thing I was saying before of Bethesda doesn't want people making money on Patreon for mods. She has in bold saying, this Patreon is in no way funding modding for Bethesda games, and you will not be provided any VIP treatment for or sneak previews related to Fallout or Skyrim mods that I may release in the future. So, once again, mod authors, I see no issue with them having Patreons for making mods, as long as it's not a thing of, oh, you only get access to the mod if you're on the Patreon. I see no issue with mod authors being like, hey, I would like some help, because modding takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort. So it would be nice if I could make something in return. It's the same way with YouTubers. YouTubers are saying like, oh yeah, I might not make as much on ad revenue as I like, so here's a Patreon. It is something extra. You might not necessarily get a lot of stuff out of it, but it is for people to decide. It is not for Bethesda to decide you can't make a Patreon because you're making free content.
So now we're delving into YouTube here. YouTube recently added something that's anti-Patreon. Like they're trying to edge out Patreon use.
It wasn't as bad as
No, definitely not.
People
like,
made it out
because
to be.
It's basically, if you've not got a channel, or you've got a very small channel that's not over, I think 100,000 views or something like that.
I think it was even lower. I think it's incorporated into the new limit that they set, where you need to have made 10,000 views in order
to get
enable
and
monetization.
Yeah, okay.
So I think that's completely fine. You have to be.
It makes sense.
You have to have a monetized channel. You have to be a partner channel in order to be able to post links to Patreon. I don't see any issue to that, because it also kind of eliminates spam from Patreon as well. So Patreon might even be okay with it, in the sense that, okay, you have all of these people who signed up for Patreon who are getting no one to sign up for them, because they're not doing anything, because it's just the pointless Patreon in the first place. So hopefully it works out for Patreon. I think that YouTube probably handled that in the best way that they could to try and prevent spam. Not that I'm going to stand up for everything YouTube does, don't get me wrong.
However, I agree with your point, but I do think that it could be leading into different things. It could be leading into a more offensive attack against Patreon use or any other crowdsourcing. You know, that I heard that YouTube, according to Google, is still in the investor stage. It's not even quote unquote profitable. I don't believe that, because all they're basically providing is small applications help. YouTube could be so much better if there was a proper challenger to it. And the server space, sure, it's a great service. They provide unlimited, or at the moment at least, touch wood, unlimited space for you to upload any video you want. Well, they're getting restricted now, but you can just upload. This video is 40 minutes long at the moment.
Yeah.
So that's 40 minutes just up there.
Oh, most of my videos are on the longer side. A lot of my videos are like 30 to 40 minutes. A lot of my videos are above the 15-minute mark that YouTube used to have as a hard cutoff. So it's like my videos are also several gigabytes large, so I'm very fortunate that YouTube really doesn't have a cutoff in that regard. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it's completely true that YouTube isn't completely profitable. I think last year was their first profitable year, or at least that they broke even. I wouldn't be that surprised, but at the same time, it is this thing of, while YouTube might not be super profitable, Google is. Google,
very profitable,
which is the company that bought it for pennies on the dollar. It's this thing of, okay, well, there's enough money to go around and to support YouTube a little bit better, especially when you're making astronomical amounts off some of these bigger YouTubers. And then they're pushing YouTube Red and everything. There are enough avenues of income on YouTube for YouTube that it's not like they're hurting for money.
And as soon as it does get to be to that level, they'll probably shut down a lot of it'll create a lot of restrictions. They'll shut down a bunch of channels, delete a lot of videos, make sure it's prioritized, and turn it into a sort of. They'll probably end up. I can see it becoming a YouTube Red site, so it's only premium content, like it's a HBO subscription. You can see, well, maybe not PewDiePie, but you get the gist. Like, you can see insert big YouTuber here doing premium content for $14 a month or whatever.
Well, as it is, YouTube already has a system where you can sign up to make your channel a paid subscription channel, where someone has to pay you, or pay YouTube rather, like $5 a month or whatever, and that's the only way they can watch your videos. And I mean, I just think that was not necessarily the greatest idea. I think that should have been limited to maybe like TV stations that are uploading their episodes onto YouTube and they want to create sort of a paywall there, because I think that's probably the best way to do it. But for the average YouTuber, there's no reason for YouTube to be like, hey, you can make your channel, you can turn your channel into a paywall.
I mean, I don't actually know any successful YouTubers who do this. There has
God,
been,
no. God,
no. I've seen someone else do a video on it, and there was a few that got a lot of money, but weren't exactly successful in subscriber count.
Big YouTubers are still way more likely to make a lot more just of ad revenue than from
definitely.
Subscription model and trying to block off their content, which is why I don't think we've seen any big YouTubers do it, really.
I mean, there's still a lot of creators who use Patreon and crowdsourcing or crowdfunding websites to get a lot of money as well, because YouTube has, it's not gonna be like you're gonna get your $1,000 every week or whatever, or $1 million a month, or I wish I had $1,000 a week. I wish I had $1,000 a month. I wish I had $1,000 a year. At the moment, I'm nowhere near.
YouTube to me has always been a thing of, it is a free platform, and to me, content on YouTube, I like that it's free. I like that I create free content. I am firmly in the camp that I have issues with content that is hidden behind a paywall, not just for YouTube, but for a lot of things in general. Even with a Patreon, even with Twitch subscriptions, I am very hesitant to make anything that is blocked behind the Patreon paywall or the Twitch paywall, because the way I see it is, I'm a YouTuber. YouTube content is free. I do not want to tell people you cannot access this unless you pay me, because to me, it just, I don't know, there's something scummy about it almost. And
definitely, yeah.
I'm on this platform where it's wonderful because I can create content that people can watch for absolutely free. They don't have to pay me a cent, but I still make money off of advertisements and everything. Obviously, I have no issue with Patreon. I have no issue with people making Patreons, but there's also a lot of ways that it can be taken advantage of. And that's just something that I personally have always just kind of really focused on trying to make sure that I do everything very fairly, because I think of it in terms of, if I was someone watching my channel, what would I get fed up with? What do I get fed up with watching other channels and seeing what they put behind paywalls and everything? Because, I don't know, it's almost leading back to the Creation Club of what I would want to see for free versus what should be paid, and kind of trying to value like my money, my time, and everyone else's value, their money, their time, etc., etc.
I'm glad that you brought up Creation Club, because I was going to say, we're going to have to halt ourselves here and this lovely conversation about funding and whatnot, and get back on topic. So, I think we should move on from Creation Club, but I have one last question for you.
Alright.
Is Creation Club worth it? And is Survival, since Survival just came out, you played that, is it going to be worth it? Is it worth the 800 credits to you?
To me, it's not, because of the fact that there's so many alternatives for free. There's so many mods that accomplish the same thing or accomplish even more for free. I recognize that not everyone out there wants to spend the time fooling around with mods and setting up mods, but at the same time, I would argue that I would much rather take the time to figure that out. Even if I was someone who didn't understand mods, had a mod my game or anything, I would rather figure that out and get these free mods than pay $8 for something that I know I can get for free with just a little bit of time and effort. and it's not even that hard to download mods.
Yeah,
it's really not.
It's really not. Like,
I
once
used
you
to
get
do
into the
everything
rhythm,
manually. I do everything through Nexus Mod Manager now, but I used to do everything manually, and I still had no issue with it.
yeah, manually is fine. It just takes a little bit longer. Nexus Mod Manager is just one click, and you're done.
The only thing about manually is that it made it more of a pain to uninstall mods. But
yeah.
at the same time, it really wasn't that hard. I would much rather do that than spend $8. I have $8. I can spend $8 on whatever the fuck I want, but
Yeah. It's not Bethesda's $8, it's yours.
I value my money. I know what
definitely.
my money is worth. I know what I want to spend it on, and something that I can get for free, I'm not going to pay $8 for something that is $8 and, in a lot of ways, more restrictive.
So, it's not worth $8. How much would you say it's worth? It's definitely not worth $8 to me. You bring up the point about, you can get it free. Basically the same level of quality, especially with your typos you mentioned. But it didn't really feel... It felt rather clunky to me, the gameplay. Or implementation of the gameplay. But how much do you... If someone said, how much would you pay for this? Bethesda came up to you and asked your genuine advice. How much would a person in the public who was an Elder Scrolls fan want to pay for this as a DLC? Just forget about the Creation Club. It's a DLC. Survival is perfected. It's exactly how they wanted it to be. How much would you pay?
I would say $5 is a fair price point. And one of the reasons I say that is because I remember Hearthfire was $5 when it came out for Skyrim. Mm-hmm. I would say that content-wise, it's probably around the same value. And once again, I realize that there's been inflation just because of the fact that it's been so many years since then. But I think that $5 is fair. And in the original trailer for Creation Club that they showed off at E3, Survival was 500 credits. It has been raised to 800 since then. If it had been 500 and you could get Creation Club for the smallest denomination of credits that you could buy for the 750 credits, I would be a lot more okay with it. I don't want to have to buy $15 worth of credits to then buy something that is $8 when there's an $8 price point that gives you just under the amount that you need. Like I said, I know Bethesda did that intentionally. They did it to drive up the price of, to make sure that people bought the larger pack of Creation Club credits.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so obvious. It's obvious that it's annoying.
It's even just the first thing on Skyrim's Creation Club, and they're already trying it. It's not like they're even trying to be subtle about it.
Yeah. So honestly, I think if they had said this is an official DLC, it's $5, I would have done it. I would have done it. I would have been fine with that.
That's fair.
But it also goes just to the issue of, and I discussed this in a video that I did about Creation Club, trying it out and everything, and comparing it to the free mods. My issue is that it's $8 and they add survival. There's cold, there's hunger, you need to sleep, there's enhanced fatigue, issues with diseases and everything, but there's no camping mechanic. So you're telling me I have to go
all over the place for that.
Exactly, but you're telling me for $8 I have to worry about being cold, but the only way to prevent being cold is wear more clothes, wear heavier clothes, and find a fire. Not even make a fire, find a fire. I can't make a campfire. I can't sleep for the night. And one game that I've been playing recently on my channel is it's an indie game called The Long Dark, and it takes place in
I love it.
post-apocalyptic Canada. And that game has camping. It's like, it's cold out. You have to worry about the cold. You know what you can do? You can make a fire. You can put up a tent. You can do all these things outdoors to stay alive, as opposed to Skyrim, where it's, even though it's not the end of the world or anything, it's just, there's people alive, there's civilizations, there's settlements and everything. You cannot just do that stuff on your own. You have to go find stuff that other people have left, static stuff that have been left by NPCs, and you're just kind of an invalid almost in that regard, that you can't figure out how to survive out on your own without relying on stuff that other people have made.
I mean, the difference is the Long Dark is a very good survival game, and Skyrim is not a survival game. So I understand it a little bit, but when you're, if it was free, sure, but it's not free. You have to pay $8, or was it $7, $6, $8, $5, $1 million? I don't know.
That's the thing, because there's no direct
it's credits.
translation of credits to dollars. We just have to kind of assume that it's 100 credits to $1 just because 1,500 credits is worth 1,500. Not $1,500. 1,500 credits is worth $15. Even though $800 credits is slightly more than $8.
Well, I kind of get that. Like, you're buying more, so you get it slightly cheaper.
Yeah.
But
it's like Microsoft points all over again.
They could change the value of like credits as well. They could say, oh, you like once it comes out of beta, I'm assuming that we don't get it for the free. We only get it for the free week. And
yeah,
I'm not sure if they're going to implement a way to get rid of our access of it, but we'll see after the week's done. But
it's very possible, because to play it you have to opt into a Steam beta, so once the beta version is invalid, it's very possible that they're just going to be like, okay, well, you don't have access anymore. So
once the beta comes out, they could just say, it's actually credits are a little bit more expensive. It's $1.50 for 100 credits now, but it's still 800 credits for your survival.
I think once again, I'm not happy with Creation Club and the pricing and everything. I wish that they made it so that you could say, I want to buy this specific number of credits. They ask, how many credits do you want to buy? You type in the number and they tell you what it is worth.
Yes,
I wish that was the solution, because I would rather do that and buy an individual thing on Creation Club that I want than having to buy a pack and then having credits left over. Once again, that's intentional because they want people to spend more, not less.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's annoying when no one really wanted this system to begin with in the first place.
It may be different if like mods weren't so freely accessible for free.
Yeah. If modding wasn't a thing for Skyrim or any Bethesda game, this wouldn't be an issue. People would be very happy with it. But the fact that mods have been such an integral part of Bethesda games since Morrowind, it just feels like it's unnecessary. And honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that PlayStation 4 is so restrictive with mods, no one would care about Creation Club. Because you can get Chesco's mods on Xbox One and PC. If you could get them on PS4, no one would give a shit about Survival Mode, the paid version.
I didn't know you could actually get Chesco's mods on console, but
he really, really made an effort to make sure that you could get it on Xbox. It was just this thing of, because on PlayStation 4 you can't have any external assets, and he just couldn't work with the vanilla scripting enough to add it to PlayStation 4, because unfortunately you can't even have custom scripts for PS4.
That's just because Bethesda and Sony have a bad relationship. They're just trying to screw over people.
No, it has nothing to do with Bethesda even. It's just Sony's very restrictive with their platform. And
there is that too.
I understand
there is a shitty relationship.
why. I understand why, because they've had issues with people hacking stuff before, but I don't think allowing external assets in mods would somehow compromise the security of the PlayStation 4 at all.
I'd understand if it was Elder Scrolls Online or something, but because there are mods for ESO, but you know, it's Skyrim. It's one of the
what
the
is
most
someone going to add to a
Skyrim
Skyrim mod
games
to break a PS4? I don't get it. I don't understand where the logic comes
Good
from
graphics.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to include some more. Well, I guess we could briefly talk about the PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, just as a supplementary from last week's episode. But we have talked about a lot today, so we could just briefly talk about the PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. Owner is made his own company, PUBG Corp. So, what do you think the reasoning is here?
I will talk about that in 1 second. There's just one last point I want to make about Creation Club.
Go for it.
And I saw this on Twitter. It was from, I believe it was from Camelworks, actually, and he had the best idea that I've seen in regards to Creation Club. He said that it should essentially be like a season pass, where you pay $5 for Creation Club, and that $5 for Creation Club will get you whatever comes out on Creation Club. So you pay $5 for the Fallout 4 version, you get whatever comes out for Fallout 4.
$5 for the Skyrim version. Yeah, it should be definitely that. I don't think they'll get away with $5 because
not $5 necessarily, but maybe like 10 or 15 even. And it's just from then on, you get it. I think that would have been a much better system. And one of the ways I thought about it when he said that was it reminded me of when Mass Effect 2 first came out. And it was a trend that EA did for a little while where they're trying to incentivize people to buy the game new rather than buying it pre-owned, where if you bought Mass Effect 2 new, it came with
Mass Effect 1.
I think it was called the Cerberus Club or something. And the Cerberus Club
I remember this.
had a few free DLCs, and some of those DLCs came out over time. And I loved that. I was going to buy the game new anyway, but if you didn't buy it new, you could then buy the Cerberus Club for $15. And there was $15 worth of DLC from like that little pass. So I absolutely think that would have been a much better idea if they just said $15 for Creation Club, and then as all of these mods come out, you decide for yourself, like, oh, do I want to download this one? Do I want to download that one? But it's all free to you, so it becomes your decision at that point, not I have to continually spend money on these individual items.
It's an intelligent way to put it. I'd even consider doing it because I'm a big Elder Scrolls fan, and there could be some good content there.
I would too. I would definitely consider it if it was
I'm not going to touch
$15 just forever. I'm like, that's fine. That is fine by me. If it was like an expansion pass, essentially, that's much more acceptable to me than having to pay individually for all these things.
They'd keep it going for much longer, because someone who just buys, say, like what was it, $750 is the minimum credits, buys a couple of skins, plays the game for, I don't know, gets an hour of fun out of it. They've already completed all they wanted to complete. They're not getting any more content. They forget about the game. But if they've invested, say, $15-20 into a pass that is supposed to get them access to new stuff every week or whatever,
they're gonna keep checking again and again and keep.
If there's
playing
something
the
cool, if there's something that entices them, like they could be thinking, "Oh, I'm not a fan of Doom. I could get the Doom armor, but I'm a fan of Zelda, and they're bringing Zelda shit into Skyrim, so I'm gonna play some Skyrim there."
Yeah. So if I wait a couple weeks, I can get the Zelda stuff, and there you go.
Bingo. Yeah, but that's not what they're doing. I think they'd get a lot more money out of that because they'd get more people on board. I think there's 25 million copies of Skyrim sold. Sure, it's Skyrim Special Edition, it's a different thing, but I'm sure they sold a few million Skyrim Special Editions at least. And they gave out Skyrim Special Editions for people who had the DLC. So there is the market. They've basically got a large market for an extra season pass. They had their season pass back in 2011 for the 3 DLC that they released on Skyrim, but they could have more. It would be smart, and Bethesda aren't being smart.
No, not at all. They're trying to figure out the way to make the most money out of this, and they've accomplished that, but it's just pissing off a lot of people.
So, PUBG. You said, or I've seen you play. I saw you today playing PUBG on Twitch, but you said you played it a little bit, so I'd consider you a fan, over me at least. I've not played at all. But would you say this whole creating a corporation for PUBG is a little bit of a worry? Because
I just think it's unnecessary almost, because there's already a company that's
Bluehole
that develops the game and everything. I don't know why we need a corporation now. I think it's, for me at least, it's a concern of they're trying to do too much with too little. They have one game and they're trying to build a whole franchise, sort of company around it. And it's a fun game. It's a really good game. I like it a lot. I like that it's going to be coming to Xbox so that people on Xbox One who don't have PCs can play it and everything like that. But it's still a game in early access. It is a game that has 1 game mode, 2 if you count the zombie mode that you can set up if you have a private server, but you need 100 people for it. So currently,
it does have
I'll
one
even
game.
say it has 2 maps. It has 1 map. It has technically 2 game modes with the beta, or with the zombie beta. It's going to have a second map, and they just recently added fog, so adding a new sort of like version of the map, I would say. But I don't think a early access game that has essentially one or two game modes, that has one map, needs a corporation surrounding it. I think it's just the concern of they've seen the success of the game and they're trying to run with it. They're trying to see how far it can go, which can really be the death of a company sometimes.
You're right in saying it's only got one game. It only has one game, but it's got 13 million people who like the game enough to pay, what was it, £40, £30? Or
$30 US, so whatever the...
I think it's more expensive. I think it is $29.99 on Steam. Player £26.99 pounds. Okay. £27, $30. Makes sense. So there's 13 million people who went out and bought this, or didn't go out. They got it on Steam.
I'm one of them. I paid $30. Very happy with the money I spent on it. I've gotten a lot of fun out of it. But at the same time, it is a thing of, as much as I enjoyed the game, as much as I'm glad that I bought it, I also don't think that it is, that it needs a corporation or anything like that. They already had a development team. They already have a company. Before the game came out, I don't know what they're hoping to accomplish with the corporation that they can't already do with the company that they had.
I think it's to do with what I was talking about last week, in last week's episode, is the whole suing aspect. That Fortnite and many other games have this battle royale aesthetic to it, or maybe even a sub mode. Like Fortnite, it's got its own main game and then it's got its battle royale mode, which just came out,
which is free. Even
it's free.
You don't have to buy Fortnite to play Fortnite's Battleground, because I downloaded the Epic Games launcher and I downloaded the Fortnite
battle royale mode.
Battle royale. And that's as someone who didn't want to get Fortnite, because I thought that I was like, this is a bit of a ripoff, because you have to pay like $80 or something to get all the characters for a game that is going to be free when it fully launches.
Well, I mean,
so
you're still going to have
Fortnite
to pay
itself currently
for the characters on their own when it's free, but it's £35, I think, for the game on its own with one character.
Exactly, and the way I saw it was, I realized that I can play it now versus when it comes out, fully in a year from now, but I'm not going to pay $35 to get access to what is going to be a free game.
But I do think it's like people, like the media were putting words in their mouth saying, oh, they're going to sue, this is a big deal, making it bigger, as the media does. But I do think they did threaten Epic Games, but I do think they're a little worried because they don't own the Battle Royale mechanic.
No, Battle Royale has existed since before PUBG. It existed before the mod that led to PUBG. It was
in novels decades ago.
Yeah. It's not an original idea. They got it from somewhere else. It's the most popular game right now on Steam. It's surpassed Dota 2's concurrent players.
Yeah.
It has been at the top of Twitch for most viewed game for a while, or at least it's always up there as one of the most viewed games. I think they're scared that they're going to lose traction. I think the developers are scared that they're not going to be able to maintain this growth and that eventually it's going to fizzle out. And they don't want to see it fizzle out this quickly, especially when they want to make a corporation and build a larger company around this one game.
Mm-hmm.
When it's not even fully out yet. It's still in early access. So they're just concerned about other games capitalizing on its success, which they're allowed to do.
Yeah.
Not. These other companies aren't doing anything wrong. Fortnite didn't do anything wrong.
It's been happening for years.
Perfectly
Call
allowed
of Duty made the FPS, or Call of Duty and Medal of Honor made the FPS genre boom, and especially with COD 4 with multiplayer, it made multiplayer FPSs boom, and every company and their brother's company came in and made an FPS first-person shooter online game that was basically a COD clone. The same happened with GTA, like open world games.
Saints Row, when it first came out, was pretty much a GTA clone. Saints Row, over time, kind of found its own sort of niche. Yeah,
it was
just
like
built
the
upon
crazy
that.
GTA.
But the first two games were very much just carbon copies.
Very.
They're allowed to do that because they don't own the rights to, you're
open world
of this gang, or
criminal.
You're gonna hijack cars.
Yeah.
There's nothing that Rockstar owned about that.
Like the whole Wasteland franchise is very similar to Fallout, and EA, I believe, didn't let Interplay take Fallout for their own to make like Wasteland 2, so they made Fallout, which is basically Wasteland. Or
it was like the spiritual successor almost.
Yeah, I mean, it was a spiritual successor, but it was like it had very similar themes, and it was basically the isometric Wasteland. And sure, there has been a revival of Wasteland 2 and now Wasteland 3 coming out later next year, I believe, which do look interesting, but I'll talk about them in another video perhaps. But there's like they have no right to just say, oh, you're stealing our idea. It's, well, technically it was their own idea. They're stealing their own idea, but it's the same idea. It's the same concept with Fortnite and PUBG. It
would be almost like if any time a company decided we want to make an MMO, it would be like Blizzard deciding to sue them. It would be as if Riot decided to sue Steam over Dota because of League of Legends. It would just be this thing of any time someone makes a game in the same genre that shares any similarities, one company would sue the other, and we would just never have any growth in the gaming industry at all, because everyone would just be like, we have to create completely new ideas, which is not easy, by the way.
Very difficult.
There would be no games out ever, because then everyone would sue everyone else for making RPGs, for making MMOs, for making first-person shooters, anything at all. Anything that had any similarity would lead to a lawsuit, and that's that. But then it would be the thing of, it wouldn't just happen for games; it would happen for movies, books, etc. It's just not how the industry works, how any of these industries work. There's always going to be similarities, because that's just the nature of our world. Everything relates to something else in some way or another, because completely original ideas died out forever ago because there's only so many ideas out there.
And with that bombshell, I think we should call it a wrap.
I'm fine with
because
that.
we've been having a good chat for over an hour, and we've made some conclusions here and there. I think it's overall negative against the Creation Club.
Listen, I'm giving it another month or two before they release the camping Creation Club add-on, and they're gonna say, well, this is another 800 credits. Now you can now you can get through the survival mode with more ease. You're welcome. Give us our money. I wouldn't even be surprised.
$16, yay. Anyway, so you guys at home, what's your opinion on the Creation Club? Do you think this Skyrim Survival Mode is worth your $8 or £6 or whatever, that's our price, or technically you have to pay $15, but you get the gist. Is it worth that to you, or are you fine with just going to the Nexus and getting probably superior mods? Tell me that in the comment section below, and if you've got any questions for future podcasts, shoot them there too. And make sure to hit up Zero Period Productions, which there should be a link in the description below. Head over to his channel and watch his videos, it's got some good stuff. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Andrew or Stalli111. Make sure to drop a like, drop a comment, and subscribe if you've not done so already. And I'll see you on next week's podcast of Stalli's Teabreak. Bye bye.